do call this meeting of the 73rd session of the Texas A&M University Student Senate to order on October 14th, 2020 at 7:03 p.m. We'll begin with a period of opening roll call led by Executive Director Marbut.
Howdy, everybody. That form should be open by now. And just fill that out. It will be open until 7:10. Thank you.
As Executive Director Marbut said, that will be open until 7:10. So continue to fill that out if you're a senator. If you're not a senator, as a reminder, you do not have to fill that out. If you're a new senator and have not been sworn in yet, go ahead and fill it out anyway, because we will get to the swearing in process here in just a little bit. With that, though, we will move ahead into a period of invocation in the pledges of allegiance. Led by a special guest, Abdullah Shaikh from the Muslim Student Association. Abdullah, are you with us?
I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all for having me. You want me to start now?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
Let us pray. We begin in the name of God. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful, our sustainer, our guide, ever present, never unaware, infinitely able, your servants in your loving care. Guide us to pure convictions that inspire us and the courage to match those convictions. In an increasingly polarized society, we ask you for peace, unity, and harmony. With your divine hand guiding us, there exists nothing on this earth that could prevent our path towards the creation of a better tomorrow. As our country lies in its current state, we pray for its solace. We pray for a cure for and an eradication of COVID so that we may return to our lives as they were. We pray for reformation and justice. We pray for peace in the hearts of those who are wronged and your justice upon those who wrong others. We pray for those that are affected physically, emotionally, financially by this time, and we pray that they may find peace with you. Let us be the light that we seek from you. Guide the deliberation of our members of this Senate to just decisions and guide our campus to the abode of reconciliation. May we honor one another, glorify you together, and inspire the world to be better. Amen.
Awesome, Abdullah. Thank you so much for that. And if you're willing, would you please lead us in the pledges of allegiance?
Absolutely. I'll start with the United States. I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands.
Abdullah, I think we may have lost you for a second there.
I apologize. Let me try that again. I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Well, Abdullah, thank you so much for joining us and leading us in that invocation as well as the pledges of allegiance. We appreciate your time and being here with us. And it's always great to have incredible guests come and speak at this point.
Thank you all so much for having me.
Absolutely. And so with that, we will now move into a period of the reading of the mission statement and the Aggie Honor Code, read by our longest serving senator, Senator Wood.
Howdy, Ags. The Texas A&M mission statement says the Texas A&M University Student Senate represents all students in order to enhance the Texas A&M experience within our university and communities through research, legislation, and advocacy in accordance with the core values of our institution. The Code of Honor states, an Aggie does not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. Thanks again.
Thank you, Senator Wood. With that, we'll now move into a period of the singing of the Spirit of Aggieland, led by Executive Director Marbut.
Howdy, everybody. Give me just a second to share my screen.
Thank you, Executive Director Marbut. With that, we'll now move into a period of open forum led by Executive Director Marbut.
Howdy, Executive Director Marbut. We do have speakers for open forum. First, I recognize Aaron Wood on behalf of the Tate A. Banks Core Values Subcommittee.
Senator Wood, you do have the floor.
Howdy, Senate, again. So I'm just going to read some typed out notes. Tonight, Joseph Rogers could not be here. He is the subcommittee chair for the Tate A. Banks Core Value Committee, as he had a finance exam. So he just wrote a little blurb, and I'm going to go ahead and present to Senate our nomination. So we are here with the October leadership or October core value of leadership. As a subcommittee, we have voted on the person to receive this award is a former student named John C. Otto. John C. Otto grew up in Dayton, Texas, and graduated from Texas A&M in 1970. In his time at Texas A&M, John C. Otto exemplified leadership through his involvement in the Corps Cadets and Fighting Texas Aggie Band. In his senior year, Mr. Otto served as a head drum major for the Aggie Band and was president of the band association. Following his graduation, John C. Otto was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army in Fort Benjamin Harrison. Over the years, Mr. Otto has worked selflessly not only to promote the core values of Texas A&M, but to help his community, the state of Texas, his country, and to selflessly give back to the Texas A&M community. In 2004, John C. Otto was elected to the Texas House and served 6 terms for District 18. He served as a vice chairman for the House and Ways and Means Committee, and served as the chair of the Appropriations and Conference Committees. Through his work in the legislature, Mr. Otto was established programs like the Texas Research University Fund, which provides $147 million in support to research institutions like Texas A&M. Alongside this, he was a member of the Dayton City Council, Dayton Chamber of Commerce, Dayton Community Development Corporation, and has passionately served his community. Also, he has served as a vice chancellor and director of local government relations for the Texas A&M University system. Mr. Otto has been unwavering in his support, dedication, leadership, and is a true beacon for all Aggies. On August 1st, 2020, John C. Otto passed away peacefully after a courageous battle with pancreatic cancer, leaving a legacy with the Texas A&M University community and a great state of Texas. His impact and leadership will never be forgotten. We strongly encourage you to confirm John C. Otto as this month's recipient of the Core Values Award. If confirmed, John C. Otto will be the Core Values Subcommittee's first posthumous awardee. With this said, we will be given the award to Nancy Whitman Otto, his wife. Thank you for your time and consideration. We look forward to the remainder of the academic year and next month's nominee. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the presenter? Seeing none, thank you, Senator Wood. With that, we'll now vote on whether or not to present this award to John C. Otto, or raised hand vote. Just as a reminder for everyone on the call, only senators may vote. New senators, you do not have the power to vote yet, but you will as soon as we swear you in. So hang in there, and we'll get you voting on the next pieces. But for this, it's just going to be current senators. So go ahead, and all those in favor of confirming John C. Otto, please use the raised hand tool. All right, go ahead and lower your hands. All those opposed? And lower your hands. By a vote of 41-1, John C. Otto is confirmed to be our nominee for the October Core Values Award. And so with that, Executive Director Marbut, we will continue to proceed with open forum.
Thank you. The next speaker I will recognize is Shannon Chester on behalf of the big event.
Okay, howdy y'all. Thank y'all for letting me join y'all. My name is Shannon Chester, and as you just heard, I'm with the Big Event. For those of you who don't know what the Big Event is, the Big Event is the largest student-led service project in the nation. So the Big Event is just a day where we get to say thank you to the Bryan College Station community. This could be through window washing, pulling weeds, whatever the residents ask us to do. And Aggies have been serving residents through the Big Event for the past 38 years. So today I would like to encourage you all to apply as the role of being a staff assistant. This is an opportunity to directly meet with the residents in the Bryan College Station area, ask them how they would like to be served on the day of the Big Event, and honestly just building relationships with the residents and honestly people in the Big Event community as well. Being a staff assistant truly was one of the best decisions I've made during college. I was a staff assistant my freshman and my sophomore year. It allowed me the opportunity to just extend a helping hand to the community that does so much for our university. Oftentimes, we kind of take advantage of the fact that there's not just students living in this area. And although COVID-19 is still very prevalent in our community, our team has been working diligently with the cities of Bryan and College Station, the Brazos County Health District, and the University COVID Task Force to ensure the safety of both students and residents participating in the Big Event. So if you are interested, applications for staff assistant are open now, and they close this Friday, October 16th. There's also one last informational tonight at 8 p.m. that you are more than welcome to hop on and get some more information and ask questions about. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for y'all's time, and I hope that y'all will consider being involved in the Big Event this year.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon. Are there any questions for the presenter? Seeing none, thank you. Executive Director Marbut.
The next speaker I will recognize is Rachel McNeil on behalf of herself and the student body.
Hi everyone. I just wanted to talk about one of the things that was brought out and the fact that how do I phrase this? The way that silver taps was used with Tradition Council and the way the Speaker of the Senate was blamed for silver taps being on. I was not super close with Victoria, but I have a lot of friends that were, and she and I had just grown apart, but it was very hard to watch them use her name and use that tragedy as a way for a political movement. And so I just wanted to voice my opinion in the fact that that was really upsetting for a lot of her friends and family, and it was very disrespectful, and it was not okay for the people that did that.
Thank you, Rachel. Are there any questions for the presenter? Seeing none, Executive Director Marbut.
Thank you, Speaker McHugh. The very last speaker I will recognize is Carly Oldag on behalf of the Rules and Regulations Committee. She will have a presentation that I will be sharing. So sorry, I just thought I'd share that.
Howdy, everyone. Like Carrie said, Megan can't be here, so I'm just giving this presentation on behalf of her. So this is a Parley Pro presentation. Woo, Parley Pro. We all love Parley Pro. You can just go to the next slide. So we'll be covering in this presentation the differences in point of information and parliamentary inquiry. So with a point of information, this is used to gain or clarify general information from the current speaker about the business at hand. The proper terminology to use for this is point of information, or I rise to point of information. Parliamentary inquiry, the definition of that, it's used to gain parliamentary information strictly. That's its only use. The terminology for that is I rise to a point of parliamentary inquiry. So another difference kind of between these two is point of information can be directed at the presenter or whoever's an author or a sponsor of a bill or resolution, and basically it can be directed at anyone that you're trying to obtain information about, and it can be at whatever business is at hand. The difference in parliamentary inquiry is this is directed more towards the speaker or towards our Rules and Regulations chair, strictly about parliamentary information only. So there's kind of a difference in what you're asking for and who you're directing those questions towards. Also, the Rules and Regulations Chair Hein is going to start to be more strict on the uses of these motions, and just to ensure that they are applied and used correctly by all of our senators. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. This is a meme that I made, and I am a Parley Pro nerd, and I think it's really funny. This should be every senator's reaction to using the proper terminology when it comes to Parley Pro, because I kind of just also use this as a point to share how important it is to use the proper terminology, just to, whether it comes to like what our minutes say, or just for clarification with the speaker and with our Rules and Regulations chair on what you're trying to get across. It's really important to use the proper terminology. So I made this meme because it makes me giggle, and I think it's funny. So the proper terminology is I rise to a point of parliamentary inquiry, not hey, like I have a Parley Pro question. Yeah. Okay, so you can go to the next slide. Decorum. So decorum's definition is proper or appropriate conduct in the room when speaking. Rooms in quotations because this applies even if we're in a Zoom room. In whatever format we're doing it in, it's just proper or appropriate conduct that you yourself carry when you're speaking. So all debate and discussion should be directed towards the speaker, not towards each other. And then debate should not attack other senators and should be very polite and constructive. Speaking privileges. So to have speaking privileges, I know it's been a little bit lenient and weird adapting to this Zoom format, but we're trying to more closely follow what we'd be doing in person. So to have speaking privileges, you must have your camera on and you must be in dress code. So for men, this looks like wearing a button down, a tie, and a blazer. And for us ladies, this looks like wearing a blouse and a blazer. I know a lot of us lately have been rocking the Zoom mullet, is what I like to call it, where you got business up top and party on the bottom. There's no way that we could really enforce what you're wearing, not from the waist up. So do with that information what you will. And if you're called out of order 3 times, you can possibly lose speaking privileges. This is really important because it can also result in you being counted absent for closing roll call. That's just kind of a result of forfeiting your speaking privileges, and just to ensure that we are following decorum and we're doing everything in order and properly. So as much as I would love to take y'all's questions, and I think I do have a kind of general knowledge, a pretty good one, of Robert's Rules of Order and Parley Pro, some of these also kind of apply to our code and Senate, and I don't want to give anyone the wrong answers to your questions. So if you have any questions, send them in the Parley Pro section of Slack, and then Chair Hine will answer those questions in length and in detail very soon, or as soon as she's able to get to them. So I cannot take your questions, but you can direct those towards the Slack in the Parley Pro section, and she'll answer all your questions there. That's all I have. I hope that everything was kind of clear and that we can use these correctly and effectively whenever we have questions about how to address a speaker, how to ask a question, Parley Pro questions, and just general conduct of how we should be conducting ourselves during these meetings, making sure that we're parliamentary sound and that we're following the code. So thanks, and Gagam.
With that, Mr. Speaker, we have no more speakers during open forum.
Fantastic. That will close our period of open forum. Thank you to all those who came and spoke to us or presented today. With that, we'll now move into a period of the approval of the 9/30/20 meeting minutes. We'll move by general consent to approve these meeting minutes. Do I see any objections to general consent? Seeing none, those are approved. We'll now move into the period of swearing in of our new senators. Soon to be senators, congratulations on successful campaigns. We're extremely excited to have you all here with us today and to be joining us in the Senate body. I know this is a huge step forward in your college career, and so we hope that you enjoy your new position as a senator, as well as take it with all of the gravity that comes with it. And so without further ado, what I'm going to do now is read off the names of the senators, and then we will have the Chief Justice swear you all in. And as I go down this list, I do apologize if I butcher any names. Feel free to correct me when you do have the chance here. So our new senators who will be sworn in shortly are Ava Greeny, Betsaida Perez Gomez, Evelyn Anders, Yovanka Gonzalez, Atka Patel, Dalmuth Kandalo, Reagan Powers, Logan Tamplin, and Lauren DeVinzio. So with that, we'll now turn it over to Chief Justice McIntosh for swearing in.
All right, everyone raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear to faithfully execute to the best of my ability the duties of the office of Student Senator for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association, to uphold the honor of the same at all times, to protect the welfare of the student body, and to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university. Congratulations, everyone.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much to all of the new senators who have joined us. Congratulations on your new role. With that, you are officially senators, and so you do officially now have the ability to speak on the floor, to vote on things as they come up, and which is a big thing, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of things to vote on tonight, so that will also be trial by fire as we hop right in here and hop into this meeting. With that, we are also, as the point of swearing in new senators, going to swear in two ex officio officers. Our two new ex officio officers are our two new fish aides. They are Harrison Frills and Caroline Spears. And so with that, Chief Justice McIntosh, if you would swear them in.
All right, one second, let me pull that back up. All right, guys, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear to faithfully execute to the best of my ability the duties of the office of Student Senate Fish Aide for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association, to uphold the honor of the same at all times to protect the welfare of the student body and to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
Well, congratulations to our two new fish aides. We're happy to have you here. For those of you who don't know, Fish Aids is a committee within SGA, and as part of their program, they send fish aides to other committees within Senate to help us out. And so our fish aides serve as the ex officio officers, and they'll be helping us out throughout the rest of the session on different committees and the operations of Senate in general. And so with that, without further ado, I am now going to step down from the chair for a moment and hand over the chairship to Pro Tempore Spur for the purpose of making a motion.
State the nature of your motion.
I move to censor Dylan Bone.
Okay. Do I see any seconds? And just to clarify here, we have to have a fifth of seconds to proceed. So give me a moment to count and make sure we hit that. Okay, that motion does pass and has been seconded by over a fifth of the senators in the room. I'd like to recognize Chair Hein to brief the room on what this entails.
Howdy, Senate. Chair Hein, Rules and Regulations. All right, so the motion to censure has been made, which is basically a reprimandment within the SGA code that will take away a senator's speaking privileges, debate privileges, question privileges, as well as rights to make motions when they fail to uphold the honor or duties of the office of being a senator. The senator who is being motioned to censure will still have the rights to author and sponsor legislation as well as vote, but they will not be able to speak, debate, ask questions, or make any motions on the floor. This will require a 2/3 vote, and we will begin with a 5-minute debate period. The accused senator will have a 3-minute debate or presentation period as well. Then we'll move into a 10-minute debate period, and then we'll take a vote.
Alrighty, thank you, Chair Hein. And if I'm remembering correctly, we now move into, will you restate it one more time? I apologize.
We'll move into a period of presentation by the senator who is making the motion to censure.
Perfect, thank you. All right, Senator McHugh, you now have, Senator McHugh, point of.
We'll bring back in anyone who is waiting outside as well as resume the recording. And so with that, we'll now move into a period of unfinished business as we resume our agenda, beginning with the reading of SR 7317, the Texas A&M UPD Appreciation Resolution. I believe Cole Allen and Blake Martin, Senator Allen and Senator Martin are the primary authors. I do want to also recognize the point of order from Chair Teague.
I just checked the participant list. Never mind. I thought we had not moved out of executive session yet. I apologize, Mr. Speaker.
That's okay. With that, I'd like to recognize a motion from Senator Martin before we proceed as well.
Senator Martin, Liberal Arts Caucus. I move to have SR 7317 moved to be withdrawn, as well as have it postponed indefinitely.
Just to clarify, Chair Hine, was that two separate motions?
Chair Hine, rules and regulations. So two tricky parts. So for the withdrawal, unfortunately, it cannot be withdrawn since it was changed in committee. So it will have to be presented. And for the postpone indefinitely, that will have to be done in debate against. That I hope that answers your question. So they're both of them are out of order.
Senator Martin, the motion is out of order, and so we will proceed into the period of presentation. If you would please begin.
Thank you. Senator Martin, Liberal Arts Caucus. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Texas A&M UPD Appreciation Resolution, a resolution that recognizes the work of valiant police officers who answer the call of duty at Texas A&M University. Whereas 1, the Student Senate recognizes that every human life has value, which includes the lives of those in uniform. Whereas 2, Texas A&M UPD policing practices and exceptional standards for not only their department, but police departments in Brazos County. Whereas 3, the Student Senate recognizes the good law enforcement officers who make our campus a safer place. Let it further be resolved. 1, the Student Senate appreciates the progressive policies and standards that have been implemented at Texas A&M University Police Department through the years, including but not limited to banning neck restraints since 2014, de-escalation training since 2018, accreditation since 2014, comprehensive reporting, community outreach programs. Let it be further resolved. 2, the Student Senate thanks Texas A&M University Police Department for presenting their policies, addressing concerns, and taking input from senators and in the Student Senate session on September 16th, 2020. Let it be further resolved, a copy of this resolution be sent to John Sharp, Chancellor of the Texas A&M University System, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, Michael K. Young, President of Texas A&M University, J. Michael Reagan, Chief University Police Department, Dr. Daniel J. Pugh Sr., Vice President of Student Affairs, Chief Eric Busk of Bryan Police Department, College Station Police Chief Bill Couch, and the battalion.
The presenter is open for questions at this point. Are there any questions for Senator Martin? Seeing none, that will conclude the period of question and answer, and we'll move into a period of debate. Do I see any debate against? Senator Martin, you have the floor.
Senator Martin, Liberal Arts Caucus. I move to have this resolution postponed indefinitely.
Do I see any seconds? Seeing multiple seconds as well as an objection, we will now vote on the motion to postpone indefinitely this bill, this resolution, SR 7317. With that, we'll begin with a raised hand vote. But before we do that, Chair Ahmed.
Howdy, Chair Ahmed, Diversity Inclusion, Off-Campus Caucus. This is a point of inquiry. I guess it would be directed to Chair Hine. Are we as senators allowed to ask the person who made the motion why they want to withdraw it? Because I know I'm definitely curious.
I do believe that a motion to postpone indefinitely is undebatable, but let me double check for that on my chart that I have. Because if so, then yeah, you would be able to ask him and debate. Oh, it is debatable. So actually, oh, wait a second. I apologize for this. Normally, I know this off the top of my head, but it has been a day. Okay, yes. So actually, we stand out of order. We should have moved into a period of debate. So.
Well, the chair does stand out of order, and so we will now move into a period of debate, beginning with debate against. Do I see any debate against this motion to postpone indefinitely? Chair Syed.
Chair Syed, Student
Chair
Services.
Syed, I'm actually going to pause you for just a second to recognize Chair Ahmed again.
Chair Ahmed, Diversity Inclusion Off-Campus Caucus. So just to clarify, even though it is debatable, can we ask the speaker a direct question? Like, is there a question and answer portion, or how would we go about that?
I'll just take it away. Okay, so you would actually just have to use a point of information, but we were out of order. So this is that time where you could do a point of information, and then that will be able to get the answer you're looking for.
Thank you.
Chair Syed, you do have the floor.
Chair Syed, Student Services. I'm against postponing this resolution indefinitely because I know that the Student Services Committee has worked extremely hard for 2 whole meetings to create a resolution that would be presentable to Student Senate and to revise the resolution that was given to us, voted on. And I will. Thank you.
Chair Syed, you do still have the floor.
I give my thing back to the floor.
The floor has been yielded to. With that, we'll now move into a period of debate 4. Do I see any debate 4? I do want to recognize the point of information from Chair Ahmed, though, before we do that.
Chair Ahmed, Diversity Inclusion Off-Campus Caucus, howdy. For my point of information, I would just like to have Senator Martin, who made the motion, to please explain his rationale for wanting to withdraw the piece of legislation, because as Chair Syed said, I know the committee worked hard on it, and it seemed like a pretty solid piece of legislation to me. So I think I'm just wondering if he can give us some background before we do vote on that motion.
Senator Martin, you may answer.
Senator Martin, Liberal Arts Caucus. To answer the chair's question, essentially the bill itself has deviated from the initial purpose that I had. It was not only just to recognize Texas A&M police, but police officers in general. It was there are multiple whereases as well as points of information that addressed certain aspects that I wanted to have in there, but they were removed inside the committee. There were a lot of things that the committee did that I didn't necessarily appreciate or moved away from the initial meaning of the bill. So that is essentially why I am looking to withdraw this piece or postpone indefinitely. That's what I have.
The floor was last yielded to in debate against, which concluded that period of debate against. So we will now move into a period of debate 4. Do I see any debate 4 postponing indefinitely? Seeing none, that will conclude the period of debate 4. We'll move back into a period of debate against. Do I see any debate against? Seeing none, we'll return to a period of debate 4. Is there any debate 4? Senator Wood.
All I can say is, or Senator Wood, College of Engineering. All I can say is he is the original author, and his name is on the bill or on the resolution. I apologize. If he chooses to take his name off that later, that's something else. But as of now, as it stands, I believe that that's what Student Senate should respect.
Senator Wood, you do still have the floor.
I yield my time to the floor. Sorry.
The floor has been yielded to. We'll now move back into a period of debate against. Do I see any debate against? Senator Garcia, you do have the floor. But Senator Garcia, I am actually going to pause you for a point of inquiry from Senator Nassis.
I believe there was a point of information from Chair Ahmed before me.
I believe that point of information came at an earlier point.
Okay. Senator Nassis on-campus caucus, if Senator Martin were unhappy with this piece, would the way to take his name off of it be during debate against make an amendment to remove his name?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Garcia, you do have the floor in debate against.
Senator Garcia, Health Science Center Caucus. So I kind of want to kind of repeat what Fawaz said. We worked really hard on this piece, and Senate is about everyone contributing to legislation, and typically changes are made, and we spent over 3 hours working on making changes to this legislation, and I think it's a pretty bipartisan bill, so I think we should keep it.
And you do still have the floor, Senator Garcia.
Oh, I yield my time to the floor.
The floor has been yielded to, so that will conclude that period of debate against, and we'll move back into a period of debate for. Do I see any debate for? Seeing none, that will conclude that period of debate, which will conclude our third round of debate and our period of debate as a whole. And so with that, we will now move into a period of voting on this motion to postpone indefinitely this resolution, SR 7317. Begin by a show of hands for those in favor. Lower your hands. All those opposed? Lower your hands. By a vote of 14 to 33, that motion does fail, and we will return to the period of debate against on the resolution as a whole. Senator Martin, you do have the floor in debate against.
Senator Martin, Liberal Arts Caucus. I motion to have my name as well as Senator Allen's name removed from the resolution.
I would like to recognize the point of input order from Senator Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Smith, College of Ag and Life Sciences Caucus. I'm wondering, is Senator Martin allowed to participate in debate against his own main motion or the introduction of the legislation?
I do believe Senator Hine will refer to you.
Chair Hine, Rules and Regulations. So due to the nature that we do Senate, if he were to actively speak against his motion, he would not be allowed to speak. However, he is just making motions. So therefore, like, he can participate in debating against, however, he cannot actively talk against his against the legislation with his name on it. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
And then I would like to recognize Chair Oldag.
Chair Oldag, Community Relations. So if the motion was to remove both Senator Martin and Allen as authors, if I'm looking at it right now, and this is the current one, that wouldn't leave any other authors, if I'm correct. So what would we do about that if it were to pass?
Chair Hine, Rules and Regulations. So since both authors would have, if this does pass, and or since they have taken their names off of it, there will be a period where someone could add themselves as an author. I know the Student Services Committee worked hard on this legislation. So any one of those can add their name to it, anyone who contributed to it, but there would be an opportunity for someone to put their name on this legislation. It just wouldn't like go into the cloud and die, so.
And so with that, I do believe there is a motion on the floor to remove Senator Martin's name as well as Senator Allen's name from this piece of legislation. Seeing a second, we will now move by general consent to amend this piece of legislation to remove both Senator Martin and Senator Allen as authors. Do I see any objections? Seeing none, general consent has passed. And so Senator Martin as well as Senator Allen will have their names removed as authors. We'll now go into the period of adding authors to this piece of legislation. Chair Hine, just to make sure we do this correctly, would you please explain the process of adding authors?
Yeah. So this is kind of uncharted territory, but anyone who's contributed to the piece of legislation, so anyone from the Student Services Committee or anyone who's worked with Blake or Cole on the previous one, if they want to add their name as well, they are more than welcome to do so. It'd almost be kind of like sponsoring a piece of legislation, so they can just raise their hand to be added as an author, but it doesn't require a vote.
And so with that, I do want to recognize Chair T with the point of information.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. On this resolution, there is a sponsor who has since resigned from Senate. Is his name automatically removed? What happens to his name since he's not here to speak on its behalf?
And Chair Hine, I think this is again uncharted territory, so I will defer to you.
Yes, Chair Hine, Rules and Regulations. So during the period of amendment, his name would I was actually going to amend for his name to be removed while also adding anyone who else wants to sponsor, since those two motions can kind of be combined. So his name will be taken off at a later time, and then other sponsors can be added at that time as well.
Senator Wood has withdrawn his point of information. I would also like to remind the body that no debate or talking can take place in the chat except for the purpose of bringing up motions. So if you would like to have the dinging of iMessages muted, that would be a point of personal privilege, which you can also type into the chat. But we will do what we can to go ahead and take care of that. So no need to type that at this time. So with that, I will now move back into a period of adding authors. And Chair Hein, again, if you could remind us here the process with
Yeah.
Ivan.
Chair Hein, rules and regulations. So we'll just open up the floor for a period of anyone who wants to add their name to the legislation. But just a reminder, they will have had to contribute to the writing of the legislation at one point. So that would look like anyone from Student Services Committee or anyone who's worked with Blake and Cole from the past.
And then I'd like to recognize Chair Syed with the point of inquiry.
Chair Syed, Student Services. Chair Hein, is this done in the form of a motion?
No, so it'll just, the speaker will just open up a period of anyone to add their name as an author. And that will be done just after I end this answer.
All right, thank you.
And then Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. I apologize, Chair Hein, for all of these questions, but like you said, this is uncharted waters, so I'm confused as well. My question is this going to work like a nominations process where we can nominate ourselves or someone else, or is this going to be strictly, for example, if somebody else thought that I did work on it, they could nominate me to put my name on it? How does that work? Can I nominate somebody else? What's the deal there?
I think that Chair Hein, rules and regulations, I think that we're a respected body enough to know if you've contributed to a piece of legislation or not. So this will just kind of be done by a show of hands of who wants to add their name as an author. But just be cognizant of, or be honest if you've worked on it or not. This will definitely be something to be considered when writing some rules in the code later on to avoid this mess again. But for the most part, this will just kind of be done by a show of hands.
Thank you, Chair Hein. So with that, we will go ahead and open the floor. Again, if you contributed to this piece of legislation in its current form and would like to have your name added as an author, please raise your hand using the raise hand tool. And Chair Syed, I'd like to recognize you for the point of inquiry.
Chair Syed, Student Services. Sorry, Chair Hein, one more thing. If members outside of the Student Services Committee attended a Student Services Committee meeting and provided input while they couldn't vote or make a motion to change, could they still be considered to have contributed to the resolution?
Chair Hein, rules and regulations. Of course, I think being involved in a piece of legislation takes many forms, and so that is definitely allowed as for someone to add their name to a piece of legislation.
All right, thank you.
And so with that, Speaker Pro Tempore Spur, if you would please add Senator Garcia, Julia Garcia, Chair Syed, Senator Collins, Senator Lind. I believe that's all with their hands up at this time. If you'd please add those four members of the body as authors to this piece of legislation.
Speaker BQ, I have a point of inquiry. I'm so sorry. Again, I know we've gone round and round on this.
Go ahead.
My question is for Chair Hein. Do we have to vote on this addition? Is this kind of like an amendment where we're adding names and then we vote on the names that are being added and subtracted?
I am going to say no, since this is a period of like allowing this legislation to be considered. I swear, guys, I'm trying to fix my notifications. It's been a really hard time trying to answer these questions and do that at the same time. But this won't require a vote. This will just be a period of adding authors. And then if someone does believe that someone shouldn't be added as an author, that can be taken out as an amendment at a later period.
So Speaker Pro Tempore Spur, if you would please add those 4 senators as well as Senator Hernandez. And I'm going to go ahead and close the floor for authors at this time. But I'll leave those hands up for just a second as we're getting those added to this piece of legislation. All right, you may lower your hands at this time. We'll now return into the period of debate on this piece of legislation. I believe Senator Martin had yielded the floor in debate against. So we'll now move into a period of debate 4. Do I see any debate 4? Seeing none, that will conclude the period of debate 4. We'll move into the second round of debate on this piece of legislation as a whole. Do I see any debate against? Chair Syed.
Chair Syed, Student Services, I move to add any senators that want to add themselves as sponsors to be able to on this resolution.
Do I see any seconds? Seeing multiple seconds, we will move by general consent to add any senator who fills out the form on the Senate Drive as a sponsor to this piece of legislation. Do I see any objections?
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Go ahead.
Chair Hein, Rules and Regulations, an amendment is debatable and amendable. Therefore, we should have moved into a period of debate and you are out of order.
The chair is out of order, so we'll now move into a period of debate on the amendment to add a sponsor to this piece of legislation. Do I see any debate against? Chair Hein.
Chair Hein, Rules and Regulations, I move to amend this motion by adding to the end of this amendment and also remove Garrett Lindsay as a sponsor from this resolution.
Seeing multiple seconds, seeing as this is a second rank motion, we will move by general consent to add to this motion that any sponsors who fill out the form would be added to the end of the resolution, as well as that Senator Lindsay be removed. And Chair Hein, before I do move to general consent on this, as a second rank motion, is this debatable?
Chair Hein, Rules and Regulations, yes, since this is a first rank amendment, it is debatable and amendable.
Okay, good. I do stand out of order. So we will move into debate on this amendment to the amendment to add as a sponsor. Do I see any debate against? Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. I move the previous question on the amendment and its amendment.
Previous question has been motioned for. Do I see any seconds? Seeing multiple seconds, we will move by general consent to move the previous question and move to voting on this. I would like to recognize Chair Syed.
Point of inquiry, just to confirm, we were voting to just vote on the resolution rather than voting on adding sponsors, correct?
No, so the previous question has been moved on your motion as well as the amendments added to your motion. So we'll move to vote on each one.
All right, thank you.
Yes, so what we are doing is voting on moving the previous question, and we're going to be doing that by general consent unless there are any objections. So by general consent, will we move the previous question on this motion and its motions? Seeing no objections, that does pass. And so we will now move into a period of voting on the amendments. Chair Hine, just to make sure we do this correctly, we are voting, excuse me, we are voting on each amendment on its own, correct?
Yes, we'll go into the first rank amendment, which is to allow Garrett Lindsay, or to remove Garrett Lindsay's name as a sponsor. And then we'll go into the first rank, or the main amendment, which will either be just the piece of adding sponsors or both of those pieces together.
So we'll now vote on whether or not to remove Garrett Lindsay's name as a sponsor, as well as to amend the motion to add sponsors so that those sponsors would be added to the end. We'll go ahead and do this by general consent. Do I see any objections? Seeing none, that does pass, and we'll now move to voting on the motion, the revised motion itself, so that we add any sponsors who fill out the form found on the drive as sponsors to the end of this legislation, as well as remove Garrett Lindsay as a sponsor to this piece of legislation. Do I see any objections to moving by general consent to do so? Seeing none, that does pass. So any member who fills out the form on the drive to add themselves as a sponsor will be added to the end of this piece of legislation. And Speaker Pro Tempore Spur, if you could please remove Garrett Lindsay as a sponsor from this piece. With that, Chair Syed, I do believe you have the floor in debate against.
I yield my time back to the floor.
The floor has been yielded to, and now move into a period of debate 4. Do I see any debate 4? Seeing none, that will conclude that period of debate. We'll move back into a period of debate against. Do I see any debate against? Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move to amend the motion or the resolution by removing Ken Paxton as a recipient of this legislation.
Do I see any second? Seeing multiple seconds, we will now move into a period of debate on this motion itself. Do I see any debate against removing Ken Paxton as a recipient of this piece of legislation? Chair Syed.
I move to amend the amendment and also remove Chancellor John Sharp.
I would like to recognize Chair Teague with a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. Chair Syed did not state his name and title.
Chair Syed.
Thank you.
As that is correct, the chair is out of order and the motion is thus out of order. Chair Syed, you are recognized with the floor.
Chair-side Student Services, I move to amend the amendment by removing Chancellor John Sharp and President Michael K. Young from the recipients.
Do I see any seconds? Seeing a second, we'll now move into debate on the amendment to the motion. Do I see any debate against? Seeing none, do I see any debate for? And seeing none, we'll move into a period of debate against. Do I see any debate against? Seeing no debate against, that will conclude debate as debate is one-sided. And we'll now move back into a period of debate against. Chair Syed, I do believe you have the floor in debate against on this motion. Excuse me. We'll now move into a period of voting on the second motion, the motion to amend the first motion to also remove as recipients Michael K. Young and Chancellor Sharp. We'll do this by general consent. Do I see any objections to general consent? Seeing none, that does pass. And the original motion has been revised so that it would remove Michael K. Young, Chancellor John Sharp, as well as Ken Paxton as recipients of this piece of legislation. Chair Syed, you do have the floor in debate against this motion.
Chair-side Student Services, I apologize. I do have another motion. I move to also remove Chief Eric Busk, sorry if I mispronounced that, and Chief Billy Couch. Now that this resolution is focused on UPD, I apologize for not noticing that earlier.
Do I see any seconds? I would like to address the point of information from Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permission to direct this to Chair Syed.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. Chair Syed, this went to your committee. What's, if, you know, y'all had this for, I think Senator Garcia said 3 hours. What's with all of the additional amendments being made here at the last minute on the floor?
Chair Teague, great question. I do apologize. I think we did glance over the recipients of the resolution because we were so focused on the content. And so now that I do notice it, I do want to correct it.
And so with that, again, a motion has been made. Do I see any seconds to the motion? Seeing multiple seconds, I will now move into a period of debate against this motion to the motion. Do I see any debate against? Seeing none, do I see any debate for? And seeing none, that will conclude the first round of debate. We'll move into a period of debate against. Do I see any debate against? Seeing none, That will conclude the period of debate as a whole, and we'll move into a period of voting. We'll do this by general consent. Do we, by general consent, move to amend the original motion so that we also remove 2 police chiefs from the recipients list? Do I see any objections? Seeing none, that does pass. And we'll now move back into the period of debate against on the secondly revised motion. Chair Syed, you do still have the floor.
I yield my time back to the floor, speaker. The floor.
The floor has been yielded to. We'll now move into a period of debate for this motion. Do I see any debate for? Seeing none, we'll move back into a period of debate against. Do I see any debate against? Seeing none, debate is one-sided, and that will conclude the period of the debate on the motion. And we will now move into a period of voting, which we will do by general consent unless we see objection. Do we see any objection to the motion that is proposed? Seeing no objection, that does pass, and those recipients will be removed from this piece of legislation. Chair Teague, I believe you have the floor in debate against this resolution as a whole.
Mr. Speaker, Chair Teague, Finance. I yield my time back to the floor.
The floor has been yielded to. We'll now move into a period of debate for. Do I see any debate for this resolution as a whole? Seeing none, we'll now move back into a period of debate against. Do I see any further debate against? Seeing none, debate is one-sided, and that will conclude debate on this piece of legislation, SR 7317, the Texas A&M UPD Appreciation Resolution, and we will move into a period of voting led by Speaker Pro Tem Horsper.
Howdy, Senate. It is 9:02, and that form is going to go ahead and open. For the new senators in the room, just to kind of give y'all a little insight, you're going to go on this ballot just as we did for the censure motions. You cast a vote. You usually have about 2 minutes to do that. And so we will have until 9:05 for you guys to go ahead and fill that form out. All right, it is 9:05, and with a vote of 39 in favor, 15 in abstention, and 4 against, that passes.
SR 7317, the Texas A&M UPD Appreciation Resolution does pass. We'll now move into a period of new business, beginning with the presentation of SB 7304, the Director of Legislative Operations Bill. Pro Tempore Spur, I believe you're the primary author.
Howdy, Speaker Pro Tempore Spur.
I do want to pause for just a second, though, Speaker Pro Tempore Spur, to recognize the motion from Chair Syed.
Chair Syed, student service is, Mr. Speaker, permission to preface?
Go ahead.
Briefly. Okay, sorry. I think it froze. Given that Transportation Services Advisory Committee wants a response regarding the Matthew Gaines, our opinion on the Matthew Gaines bus route, I move to motion to take from committee S onto the floor.
So unfortunately, the motion is out of order, as we did already start the presentation period for SB 7304. But if you'd like to make the motion after this piece of legislation, we can come back to it.
All right.
Speaker Pro Tempore Spur, you do have the floor in presentation.
Howdy, Speaker Pro Tempore Spur. Executive Director Marbut will be presenting with me.
Go ahead.
Howdy, Director of Operations Marbut. This will be SB 7304, a bill to create a Director of Legislative Operations position under the Operations Committee. Whereas there is an incessant need for an additional member of the Operations Committee to oversee the reformatting, proofreading, printing, and scanning of legislation, and
whereas 2, the new position created to fulfill these duties shall be named the Director of Legislative Operations.
Therefore, let it be enacted 1, to change Article 3, Section 5B from the member of the Operations Committee. 1, all other ex officio positions shall be assigned and organized by the Speaker Pro Tempore. These may include, but should not be limited to, the following positions: the Director of Records, Director of Information Technology, Director of the Cody T. Bassett Senate Archives, Director of Marketing, and
let it further be enacted 2, to read as members of the Operations Committee. 1, all other ex officio positions shall be assigned and organized by the Speaker Pro Tempore. These may include, but shall not be limited to, the following positions: Director of Records, Director of Information Technology, Director of the Cody T. Bassett Senate Archives, Director of Marketing, and the Director of Legislative Operations. And
let it be further enacted 3, a copy of this bill be sent to Megan Hine, Rules and Regulations Chair, and Carrie Marbut, the Executive Director of Operations.
Are there any questions for the presenters? Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. I just wanted to ask why a bill and not an act, if the authors could just clarify that for me.
Yes, Speaker Pro Tempore Spur. We decided to write a bill because ultimately we didn't want it to seem tyrannical to add a new position. We feel like this was necessary because in hopes this position will work well with the Operations Committee and then can be reintroduced next year as an act. The reason we didn't introduce it as an act to make a permanent change was because if it doesn't go well this year, then it can no one would have to make another act or bill to remove it from the code.
Are there any other questions for the presenters? Seeing none, that will conclude the period of question and answer. We'll now move into that will conclude the period of question and answer. Seeing as this is a bill, it will be assigned to the Rules and Regulations Committee for further consideration. And with that, we'll now move into the motion from Chair Jeffress.
Chair Jeffress, Academic Affairs. I move to withdraw from committee SR 22.
Do I see any seconds? Seeing multiple seconds as well as a point of inquiry, we will recognize Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to Rules and Regs Chair Hein. Is it permissible to withdraw or take from a committee a motion without consent from that committee?
Chair Hein, Rules and Regulations. So this might be a little new to our my fellow parliamentary nerds in the room. So our code actually does outline a motion to take from a committee. This motion is, it takes a piece of legislation from a committee that is still in committee. It requires a majority vote, and it's kind of acts like take from the table. It's just taking from a committee. So this is permissible.
So we'll now move into a period of voting on whether or not to take from committee SR 7322. We'll begin with all those in favor. Please raise your hand.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Yes.
Chair Hein, Rules and Regulations. So this piece is actually debatable, and I misspoke earlier. It is a 2/3 vote, not a majority.
I understand the speaker does stand out of order, and so we will move into a period of debate, beginning with debate against this motion to take from committee. Do I see any debate against? Senator Garcia. Looks like that was withdrawn. So Speaker Pro Tempore Spur, you have the floor.
Howdy, Senate. Speaker Pro Tempore Spur.
I will have to pause you, Chair Teague.
I apologize, Pro Temp Spur. I just would like to ask if the presenters of the motion would be open to questions, or if that was something that was that we were able to do with this motion.
Are you asking to address your point of information to the bringer of this motion?
Thank you, Speaker, Chair Teague Finance. No, I was just asking if we were going to have a question and answer period, or if that wasn't the case in this motion.
Chair Hein, I do believe we're just going into a period of debate.
Chair Hein, Rules and Regulations. Yes. So unfortunately, it doesn't outline a period of question and answer for this motion, so we will be moving directly into debate.
Awesome. Thank you.
With that, Speaker Pro Tempore Spur, you do have the floor in debate against.
Howdy, Speaker Pro Tempore Spur. I just would like to make a comment to say this is the 4th meeting that this bill is being rushed to the floor, or this resolution, excuse me. It was sent to the Constituency Affairs Committee so that we could receive student opinion and take a student opinion poll to see how the student body felt about this, because we as senators didn't know how to vote, and we all want to vote educatedly. That's our job. Our job is to represent students above all else. I think we haven't done that poll yet. Speaking to Chair Rodriguez, we haven't taken a poll yet. So if we're going to consider this to come back up to the floor, it was sent to the Constituency Affairs Chair, to the Constituency Affairs Committee, so that we could understand how the student body felt about this issue, so that we could vote.
If you would please finish your sentence.
So that we could vote informed, and that wasn't done, and I don't think it should come back to the floor.
That will conclude the period of debate against, and we'll move into a period of debate for. Do I see any debate for? Chair Rodriguez.
Howdy, Senate Chair Rodriguez, Constituency Affairs Chair, College of Engineering. Today, my committee, we had an emergency meeting at 5 p.m. and did vote it out of committee. We decided that it was a good piece of legislation that didn't really need student opinion unless it was further addressed. We did suggest that we do have an inquiry of changing Cotton Bowl to possibly be Excel as well. That's just a suggestion that we had as a committee. If otherwise, we were thinking that this was not necessarily something that needed to be rushed as a student opinion poll, as we don't want to be sending out 5 or 10 surveys that's just going to overwhelm the student body. So for right now, as the Constituency Affairs Chair, we felt this was not something that we needed to rush out, and I believe we should definitely bring this to the floor and vote today. And I yield my time to the floor.
The floor has been yielded to, and we'll now move back into a period of debate against. Do I see any debate against? Chair Teague, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I agree wholeheartedly with Pro Tempore Spur. This feels rushed, and it feels like this was done in bad faith. I believe that it was Senator Lucas, but please forgive me if I'm wrong, that referred this to the committee in our last Senate meeting, and she did so with the qualification of a poll needed to be conducted. While it certainly is up to the committee to decide whether or not that is that's true, if we do need a poll or not, it seems incredibly rushed to drag this straight out of committee the day of. Why not last week? Why not last month when Chair Syed brought this issue to our attention? Why today is my question. I don't think it's ready. I encourage all to vote against it. Thank you.
Fantastic. That will conclude the period of debate against. And we'll move back into a period of debate for. Chair Jeffress.
Howdy, Chair Jeffress, Academic Affairs. So this bill has gone to 2 different committees and has come to the floor, or maybe come to the floor twice now. It's probably one of the longest times I've seen a resolution has been discussed. So for every resolution we do not do an opinion poll. We're elected to serve as representatives of the student body. So unless it is a major issue affecting the student body, I don't believe a survey is immediately necessary. And for the reason it was, quote, rushed, from my understanding, the people making this decision want our response in the very near future. Thank you. I yield my time to the floor.
The floor has been yielded to. I would like to recognize the point of information from Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. Permission to address Chair Rodriguez.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Chair Rodriguez, what was the attendance of your meeting today, this emergency meeting?
Yes, today was, Clarissa Rodriguez, Constituency Affairs. There was only 4 that attended my meeting today and 5 if you're including myself, but only 4 who voted.
Permission to follow up, Mr. Speaker.
Granted.
How many total committee members do you have?
Right now, I have about 9, depending if we get more or less is on the new senators that come, but that's how many we have right now.
And excuse me, Mr. Speaker, permission to follow up one more time briefly?
No. I will go ahead and move into the period of debate. Again, I want to address the point of information from Speaker Pro Tempore Spur, though.
Hey, Speaker Pro Tempore Spur. This is to Chair Hein. Isn't it true that in the 72nd session by SB 7211 that the act was passed that requires the Constituency Affairs Chair to send out a monthly ag input through the months of September, October, November, December, January, February, March, and April, and that the ag input was not sent out last month and still has not been sent out for this month?
Chair Hein, Rules and Regulations. From my understanding and knowledge, yes, the Constituency Affairs is tasked with that responsibility, and I have not seen the ag input, but I cannot confirm that there has been one out.
Chair Jeffress with a point of information. see that's withdrawn, so we'll go to the point of inquiry from Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. Chair Hein, what is the quorum rule for a committee?
Chair Hein, rules and regulations. So actually there are no quorum rules for a committee as outlined in our code. So you can hold a vote even though what would normally be a quorum would be a majority of your members to be there. That does not have to occur in our committees.
Thank you.
And then Chair Syed with information.
Chair Syed, Student Services. Point of information for Chair Rodriguez. Do you believe an ag input in the form of like a Google form, I believe is what is usually used, is a good way to collect like a vote or the voice of the student body? Yeah.
Yeah, Chair Rodriguez. So I believe that a lot of stuff keeps getting added for surveys that we want to send out. I believe that we should not be sending out things that is not necessarily thought through, and we can't be overwhelming the student body with a bunch of questions that we have that just kind of come up through Senate meetings. I'd rather be more with honest and integrity, just not as well just as something that's just a survey that's sent out to students.
I would like to recognize the point of order from Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. Chair Syed is out of order by not asking permission to address someone other than the Speaker or the Rules and Regs Chair with this point of information.
Seeing as the information is out of order, and again, we'll now move. I'm going to make sure there's no more points.
Speaker, I rise to a second point of order.
Go ahead.
This is 3, I believe, points of order for Chair Syed.
Chair Hein.
Chair Hein, rules and regulations. That is my count as well. So we will be censuring Chair Syed for the rest of the meeting.
Chair Syed has been censured for the remainder of the meeting for having 3 points of order, for being out of order 3 times. And so now we'll move back into the period of debate. The period of debate that we are now in is against. Do I see any debate against? Senator Smith, excuse me.
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. I did not realize my hand was raised.
Chair Feldman, you have the floor in debate against.
Chair Feldman, Legislative Relations. I just want to say that, you know, look, as I said last meeting when this came up, I don't think there's a person here that is against this resolution, but I think that as a Senate, we voted for this to be sent to constituency affairs and to be sent to the student body so that we could accurately poll, because we were too divided as the Senate to, you know, actually make a decision and to come to a consensus on that fact. And I would say that I feel like taking this out and putting in the next meeting when we haven't sent that over isn't right. And I think that we should do this the right way by the right processes so that everyone feels like they...
I do have to pause you here, Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. I'd like to call both Senators Marufo and Jeffress out of order for utilizing the chat for debate.
Seeing as debate reserved for the floor and the floor alone and not in the chat, Senator Marufo as well as Chair Jeffress are out of order. Chair Feldman, you do still have the floor in debate against.
Yeah, I just want to say that let's do this the right way, guys. Let's, you know, come together on this. I think that if we send this to the student body, we shouldn't overwhelm them with polls, but when we felt that this was right to do, let's do this the right way. Let's get it done, and then let's bring it back and make a decision based on what the student body thinks. And I yield my time to Chair Teague.
Unfortunately, that period of debate has run out of time, so it will conclude. I do want to recognize the point of information from Senator Marufo.
Senator Marufo, Liberal Arts Caucus. My point of information is that if something is just stated and not in directly debate against a piece of legislation or something on the floor, is it still considered debate or? Senator Marufo, Liberal Arts
So
Caucus.
seeing as the precedent we have set for our Zoom meetings is that the chat is reserved only for making motions or points of order, points of information, things of that like. And we have stated multiple times that conversation can't happen in that chat. We are counting that as debate, and so it does count as debate when comments are made in that Zoom chat.
Okay, thank you.
That has concluded also our period of debate against, and we're moving into a period of debate for. Do I see any debate for? Chair Rodriguez, you have the floor.
Howdy, Senate. So just kind of reiterating what I said, I know that we are student leaders. We will
pause you for just a second. Chair Jeffress.
Howdy, Chair Jeffress, Academic Affairs. I would like to clarify this for the record. So when doing the upward arrows, is that counted as a reiterating the thing that was stated before it, or is it stated as its own separate statement?
So whether it's reiterating or not, it does count as debate, as it is contributing to debate, not on the floor.
So it's pretty much considered reiterating what was previously said, if I'm correct.
Correct, which is debate.
All right, thank you.
Chair Rodriguez, you do have the floor.
Howdy, Chair Rodriguez. So just kind of reiterating what I said, I know that we all are student leaders. We were elected by the students to make the decisions that were going to be best for them. And I know that we did want this to be a survey, but we have to realize that we are the voice of the student body, and we should be able to be trusted to make the decisions that are going to be best for the students. And I believe that we were entrusted with this right, and that we should be able to take it seriously and actually, be able to make the right decision. So bringing this to the floor would not be anything bad. And so I yield my time to Chair Jeffries.
Chair Jeffress with 15 seconds remaining.
Chair Jeffress, Academic Affairs. I like to state that they want our opinion. It's not all the time that administration wants our opinion. They want it now. If we want a voice in this conversation, we need to make a vote on it. If not, we can just have Chair Syed make the best determination how to best represent us. But if we want our voice heard, this is the way to do it.
That is time in debate. If you would, please finish the sentence.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll now move back into a period of debate against. Do I see any debate against? Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. So I guess I really have 2 points, and I'll make them very quickly. Number one is less than half of the committee was there. Only 4 members. This was an emergency meeting that was called, as I said, very rapidly and met just a few hours ago. My second point is that if this was so important, it should have been brought to the floor a long time ago. It should not have come up a week before, or 2 weeks, I guess, before they needed an answer, when those that were privy to the conversations had adequate time to do so. I yield the remainder of my time to Senator Wood.
Senator Wood.
Senator Wood, College of Engineering. With that, I have a lot has been said. My main thing is that the survey was made. I'm not too sure why it wasn't sent out. It was made. I was at the meeting that it was made a week and a half ago. There was plans to have the survey sent out and the results back by the time this meeting hit. It has not happened. It's not Senate's fault that it hasn't happened. It is the other people, and we can't vote it out. I yield my time to the floor as its time is done.
The floor has been yielded to you. We'll now move into a period of debate 4. Do I see any debate 4? Chair Ahmed.
Howdy, Chair Ahmed, Diversity and Inclusion Off-Campus Caucus. So I do want to reiterate kind of what Clarissa said. I do agree with that we should be entrusted with this choice. But alongside that, from what was just said last meeting when this bill came up, TSAC didn't ask us to go get the student opinion. They told us, here are your options if you want this change to be made. So I do think that the poll, I do apologize because I did have to leave early last meeting, but I did think to begin with a poll was redundant because that wasn't the question that was asked of us. We were asked from these options, which ones do, like we were asked, do you want this option, yes or no? We weren't given options. And then alongside that, TSAC has asked various organizations for their opinion and have like asked, and they're currently, TSAC is currently collecting those student groups' opinions by a certain deadline. So they are already actively doing that. So it's not necessarily on us to go ahead and create another poll when we're only asked a yes or no question. And I don't know, I personally am not involved with TSAC, but I don't know if we can go back to them and say, hey, these are the ones the students actually want. Can you make that change? I don't know if they have that flexibility. And I yield my time to the floor.
The floor has been yielded to. We'll now move into the final period of debate, beginning with debate against. Do I see any debate against? Senator Trosclair.
Howdy, Senate. I just want to say for the record, I'm really disappointed with what I'm seeing tonight. I really am. I'm very frustrated with it. In fact, this might shock a lot of people, but I agree with what Senator Marufa said in the chat. If this is how we're spending our meetings, this is not acceptable to me. I'm very frustrated with what I've seen to all the chairs, specifically some of the ones that maybe only had 4 out of 9 members of their committee attend a meeting. I'm just very frustrated with this. I just want to put that on the record.
Senator Trosclair, you do still have the floor.
I yield my time to the floor.
The floor has been yielded to, and I do want to recognize the point of information. Never mind, it's been withdrawn. So we'll now move into a period of debate 4. Do I see any debate 4? Seeing none, that will conclude that period of debate, but I do want to go ahead and recognize Senator Wood with a point of information.
Senator Wood, College of Engineering. Mr. Speaker, may I address my information to Chair Rodriguez?
You may.
Cool. Chair Rodriguez, one, why was the survey never sent out? And 2, was the piece of legislation changed at all?
Howdy, Chair Rodriguez. So yes, we did craft that, but we did not believe it was something that we wanted to send out to the student body that was not necessarily, something that was extremely crucial. This is something that we were entrusted to make the decision for, especially with TSAC coming to us as student senators to make this decision. So going to the student body wouldn't really make a full impact that we wanted to. And so for me, and as far as my committee, we decided we only wanted to make a small suggestion, which was changing CONVOL to maybe have also Excel be another option, but we didn't make any major changes because we felt like the piece of legislation was very well crafted in itself and we didn't want to change, the impact that it had on us. And so for us, it was just offering another suggestion, but also making the decision as well.
Permission to briefly follow up?
Not at this time. So that has concluded our period of debate, and we will now move into a period of voting on this motion to bring from committee SR 7322. We'll do this by voting through the raised hand tool. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Lower your hands. And all those against? Lower your hands. And Chair Hine, just to make sure we do this vote correctly, is this a majority or a 2/3 vote?
Chair Hine, Rules and Regulations. The motion to take a piece of legislation out of a committee requires a 2/3 vote.
In that case, by a vote of 21 to 18, it did not receive 2/3, and that motion does fail. We'll now move into a period of considering SR 7325, the Silver Taps resolution. And in doing so, I am going to step down from the chair for presentation purposes and hand the speakership over to Speaker Pro Tem Forsberg.
Howdy, Speaker Pro Tem Forsberg. I would like to recognize Speaker McHugh as the primary author of 7325 Silver Taps resolution.
Awesome. And I'd like to also invite for presentation SBP Mendoza, as well as Traditions Council Chair Michael Osborne. With that, I will go ahead and read through this. So this is the in-person Silver Taps resolution. Whereas one, as of August 18th, 2020, Texas A&M University released a statement revealing the intent to have 30,000 or 30% people amended on August 19th to be 25,000 or 25% in attendance at Kyle Field during football games this season. Since then, Kyle Field has successfully hosted 2 home football games, and whereas 2, beyond football, the university has begun bringing socially distanced large-scale events back onto campus, such as hosting 1,500 people at Breakaway and Reed Arena and 2,000 people in Kyle Field for Midnight Yell. And these events have all maintained strict face covering and social distancing guidelines, allowing students to attend safely without significant reported spikes in COVID-19 cases. And whereas 4, on August 17, 2020, Traditions Council and Student Assistance Services, following guidelines set forth by the university, announced along with Texas A&M University that Silver Taps would be held virtually throughout the fall semester, an announcement which was made before football was successfully held in person. And whereas 5, Silver Taps is a solemn tradition of Texas A&M University and is a ceremony sacred to all Aggies, which has been held since 1898 to honor those Aggies who have passed within the most recent month. And whereas 6, before now, Silver Taps had never been held online, and while these times require us to adapt in all arenas of life, the Student Senate believes that every effort should be made to preserve the sacred nature of the Silver Taps ceremony, whilst maintaining the ability for those to attend virtually who are unable to attend in person. And whereas 7, in order to safely reverse the earlier decision, Traditions Council and Student Assistance Services would need to provide for the safety of attendees, which will require social distancing resources, safety protocols, and resources to make a hybrid model possible. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Student Senate recognizes the university's resolve to bring as many traditions and events back to having in-person elements by providing high-flex, hybrid model resources and opportunities. And let it further be resolved, 2, the Student Senate asks the university to make available the necessary resources to Traditions Council so that Silver Taps may regain an in-person element and move into a high-flex format. And let it further be resolved, 3, the Student Senate further asks that the committees, branches, and commissions of SGA provide any resources at their disposal to aid Traditions Council's efforts to bring Silver Taps into a high-flex model. And let it further be resolved, 4, the Student Senate also asks our fellow students to help make an in-person Silver Taps possible by respecting any and all guidelines for masks and social distancing set forth by Traditions Council. And let it further be resolved, 5, the Student Senate and the student body uphold the principle that Silver Taps is a sacred tradition held with the purpose of honoring our fellow Aggies who have recently passed and is about uplifting and supporting their families. And let it further be resolved, 6, A copy of this resolution be sent to John Sharp, Chancellor of Texas A&M University System, Michael K. Young, President of Texas A&M University, Dr. Daniel J. Pugh Sr., Vice President for Student Affairs at Texas A&M University, Dr. Carol A. Fierke, Provost of Texas A&M University, Ross Bjork, Director of Athletics at Texas A&M University, Eric Mendoza, the Student Body President, Michael Osborne, Traditions Council Chair, Student Assistant Services, and the Battalion. And so in presentation, I am going to turn the floor over to Eric or Michael if they have anything that they would like to say. Hey, Eric, I think we may be having the problem of not hearing you. No, there's still no sound. While Eric is fixing that, I will go ahead and say nothing that will work on joining by phone. Great. Okay, saw that in the chat. But what I'll go ahead and say is this has been a very collaborative piece that we've worked with not only Traditions Council and exec, but we've also worked with administration to make sure that if we get this piece passed, we will be able to provide the resources necessary to Traditions Council. I know earlier today, Traditions Council also announced that they're bringing this in person. These went hand in hand, and so this is the part where now we make sure they have the resources to do so. And so that's kind of the purpose of writing this resolution and working collaboratively to make sure that we voice the voice of the students who want to have Silver Taps back in person and make it possible by providing the resources necessary. With that, Michael, Eric, if you don't have anything else to add, I will yield the time to questions.
The speaker has yielded his time to questions. Do I see any questions for the speaker? Chair Teague.
Thank you, Pro Tempore Spur. Thank you, Pro Tempore Spur, Chair Teague, Finance. I'm actually, Mr. Speaker, I'm actually asking this question on behalf of the Pro Tempore since she cannot, as she occupies the chair. Question is as follows. Would you be willing to consider an amendment stating that the reason Silver Taps was held virtually was due to pressure from administration and to go virtual?
I don't think that's necessary. What we're trying to do with this piece of legislation is ensure that Traditions Council has the resources necessary. And we're also trying to convey to students that this is a collaborative piece that is a lot of work has gone into from multiple entities. And so I think calling out one of those entities shows further disunity. As we talked about earlier in the meeting we were in executive session, the goal of SGA is to unify students and to voice their opinions. And so I think us adding that would be divisive as opposed to unifying. I think while something like that may be truth behind the scenes or not truth behind the scenes, it's not conducive to good relationships with administration. And so I think having an official resolution that says that this would not be a good idea.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Zach, can you hear me now?
Yes, we do have an echo, but we can hear you.
All right, I'm just going to go ahead and stick with my phone here. Is it still good?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I'll quickly add, first was going to just preface with the fact that Michael Osborne, Traditions Council Chair, was with us and had to leave for school pieces. So it's just Zach and I here. But yeah, echo what Zach shares there. I think throughout the whole process, there was not a group that we spoke with from the core to TrideCo to anyone else with the university that didn't want to make this happen. And November was the ultimate goal with the logistics piece. So just adding that to what Zach already shared.
All right, do I see any other questions from the presenters? All right, seeing none, we will now move into a period of debate. Do I see any debate against this resolution? I'd like to recognize Speaker McHugh.
I move to amend this piece of legislation so that any mention of student assistance services would be changed to student assistance services.
Chair Hein, would that not be a grammatical fix that we could do without a motion?
Chair Hein, Rules and Regulations. Yes, that can be considered a grammatical error, so that can be fixed before legislation is sent out.
Perfect. I withdraw.
Do I see any other debate against? Chair Teague.
Thank you, Pro Tempore Spur, Chair Teague, Finance. I move to amend this motion to include myself and any other senators who would like as sponsors to this resolution.
Do I see any seconds? Seeing multiple seconds, we will move to vote. No, we don't have to vote on that. Chair Hein, you can vote on the motion. I'm seeing McHugh nod his head.
My computer keeps cutting out. Can you repeat what the question was?
We need to move to vote on this motion.
What would, Chair T, can you restate your motion? I'm sorry. I'm trying to work on connecting to my hotspot.
Thank you, Senator Smith. Just reminded me it's general consent. We will move to vote on this motion by general consent. I apologize. Do I see any objections? Seeing none, Chair Teague, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Pro Tempore Spur, Chair Teague, Finance. I rise to a point of personal privilege.
State the nature of the
Could Senator Gunya please put the number of the legislation in the chat so that way we can have a little reminder of it?
It's 7325.
7325. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time back to the floor. Thank you.
The senator has yielded his time to the floor. Do I see any debate for this resolution? Seeing none, we will go back into a period of debate against. Do I see any other debate against this resolution? Seeing none, we will go back into a period of debate for. Do I see any debate for? Seeing none, I believe, and Speaker McHugh can nod his head if I'm right, we move into a period of voting. Perfect, thank you. We will now move into a period of voting. I will recognize myself as the Speaker Pro Tempore to say that the form is now open. This is 72, excuse me, new session, SR 7325, and you will have until 9:52 to vote. All right, seeing as it is 9:52, that ballot has been closed, and with a vote of 52 in favor, 4 an abstention, and 2 against, that resolution does pass. And now I will step down as chair and hand it back over to Speaker McHugh.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem Poor. We'll now move into a period of considering SR 7326, the LGBTQ+ History Month resolution. Chair Ahmed, I believe you and your committee are the primary authors, so just let me know who needs to be unmuted.
Chair Ahmed, Diversity Inclusion, Off-Campus, howdy. Thank you, Speaker McHugh. If you can unmute Senator Dang, Senator Garcia, and Lily Piper, the Diversity Commissioner, the 4 of us will be presenting this piece.
And just for clarification, which Senator Garcia?
Oh, Senator David Garcia, I apologize.
Fantastic. You all should be unmuted and you do have the floor.
All right, so howdy, Senate. The resolution we'll be presenting is the LGBTQ+ History Month resolution, a resolution recognizing the month of October as LGBTQ+ History Month and in support of our LGBTQ+ Aggie community. And I will let Senator Dang start us off.
LGBTQ+ History Month resolution, a resolution recognizing the month of October as LGBTQ+ History Month and in support of our LGBTQ+ Aggie community. Whereas 1, LGBT History Month recognizes the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender history and the history of the gay rights and related civil rights movements. And
whereas 2, in 1994, a coalition of education-based organizations in the United States recognized October as LGBT History Month as a way to teach and celebrate LGBTQ+ history as it was not taught in the classroom. And
whereas 3, in 1995, a resolution passed by the General Assembly of the National Education Association included LGBTQ History Month in a list of commemorated months. National Coming Out Day on October 11th, as well as the first March on Washington in 1979 are key events commemorated during LGBTQ+ History Month. This month was further endorsed by GLAAD, the Human Rights Campaign, the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force, and other national organizations. And
whereas 4, in 1976, the Gay Student Services, GSS, a group composed of over 20 Aggies, were denied recognition as a student organization by Dr. Koldis. The students sued the university in February of 1977 and eventually won the case, thus ordering the school to recognize the student organization. This paved the way for many organizations we see today that serve LGBTQ Aggies. And
whereas 5, in 1994, the Gender Issues Education Services office was established at Texas A&M University to focus on LGBTQ+ services. Through the efforts of this office and university officials, Texas A&M adopted a harassment and discrimination statement that included recognition of sexual orientation in 2000. During the 2004 and 2005 academic year, the GIES was combined with the Women and Gender Equity Resource Center. After later dividing, the GIEC, Gender Issues Education Center, arose and would be housed within the Division of Student Affairs. In 2008, the GIEC was formally renamed to the Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, and Transgender, GLBT Resource Center. In January 2020, the GLBT Resource Center became known as the LGBTQ+ Prize Center and remains dedicated to supporting LGBTQ+ Aggies. And
whereas 6, in 2002, Noel Freeman became the first openly gay Corporal Cadets member, being the first in the Corps' 125-year history. And
whereas 7, in 2003, the Supreme Court ruling on Lawrence v. Texas determined that sodomy laws in Texas, which criminalized certain intimate sexual conduct between 2 consenting adults of the same sex, was unconstitutional, thus invalidating all sodomy laws in Texas and throughout the nation. And
whereas 8, in 2010, Phyllis R. Fry, a Texas A&M former student, was sworn in as the first openly transgender judge appointed in the United States. And
whereas 9, in 2015, Yeah. The Supreme Court ruled that the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment guarantees the right to marriage equality for both same-sex and opposite-sex couples. This decision formally established marriage equality in the United States. Prior to this decision, Texas, alongside 13 other states, has banned on same-sex marriage. And
whereas 10, in 2017, Texas A&M University elected its first openly gay student body president, Bobby Brooks. And
whereas 11, in June 2020, the Supreme Court ruled in 3 landmark cases that discrimination against gay, lesbian, and transgender employees violates the 1964 Civil Rights Act, therefore establishing unprecedented national protections for the LGBTQ+ community. Prior to these decisions, workplace, housing, and public accommodation discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity were legal in Texas. And
whereas 12, during the 71st session of Student Senate, the 2018 to 2019 year, members of the Senate body wrote and passed the very first piece of legislation that supported the LGBT community at Texas A&M University, which was SR 71-14, the support for the LGBT community, and the GLBT Center at Texas A&M resolution. And
whereas 13, in honor of the LGBTQ+ History Month, the LGBTQ+ Pride Center is hosting a series of virtual events, including Let's Talk, Talk Wednesday, and the Coming Out Monologues Writing Workshop that creates a safe space for LGBTQ+ students and families to come and share their stories.
Therefore, let it be resolved 1. The 73rd session of the Texas A&M Student Senate recognizes the month of October as LGBTQ+ History Month. And
let it further resolve 2, the 73rd session of the Texas A&M Student Senate applauds the LGBTQ+ Pride Center for hosting virtual events during the month of October to educate members of the Aggie community on the significance of LGBTQ+ History Month. And
let it be further resolved 3, the numbers are out of order, I apologize for that. The 73rd session of the Texas A&M Student Senate commends the LGBTQ Pride Center for their dedication to serving LGBTQ Aggies for over 20 years by providing resources and educational opportunities for students, families, faculty, and staff. And
let it be further resolved 4, the 73rd session of the Texas A&M Student Senate commends the affirming services provided by Counseling and Psychological Services, CAPS, for LGBTQ+ students, such as hosting Let's Talk group discussions, and encourages LGBTQ+ students to utilize these resources and services provided by CAPS. And
let it be further resolved 5. The 73rd session of the Texas A&M Student Senate appreciates the contributions of the pioneers who fought for LGBTQ+ civil rights and celebrates current and former LGBTQ+ students who continue to pave the way. And
let it further resolved 6, the 73rd session of the Texas A&M Student Senate proudly stands with and supports all past, present, and future LGBTQ Aggies and all LGBTQ+ individuals everywhere. And
let it further be resolved 7, a copy of this be sent to President Michael K. Young, Dr. Daniel J. Pugh, Senior Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Means Coleman, Texas A&M Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion, LGBTQ+ Pride Center, GLBT Professional Network, Aggie Allies, Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer LGBTQ Aggies, LBGTQA, Graduate Student Group, the Battalion, and Transcend. And with that, we are open to
Listeners are open for questions. Are there any questions at this time? Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. So this isn't directed at any one particular author, but I just for curiosity's sake, how is this resolution different than the 73-07 LGBTQ+ Pride Month resolution?
I can answer that. It's a very valid question. They are actually 2 very distinct months. So LGBT Pride Month was made in honor of the Stonewall riots that happened in 1969, which was a major turning point in like the LGBTQ liberation movement and like their like fight to get equal rights. And so ever since those riots, that day there was a parade every year after that, and it just got extended to a month. the History Month was actually started in 1994, and it was actually started as, you know how we have like Black History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, and so forth. They're the only underrepresented group that didn't have a Heritage Month dedicated to truly like educating students about LGBTQ history. And so actually an educator in Missouri started it in October because he wanted to teach it in his classes. And following that, it got recognized by so many national organizations that fight for LGBTQ rights. And so since then, that's why the History Month is a little distinct, because Pride Month is truly just about recognizing, recognizing the Stonewall riots and then what that meant for the movement, while the History Month is more about truly educating students about that history and about that past that the United States had, or like as A&M is doing about Texas's history with Pride. And so they are two distinct months, but I can understand that. I hope that answers your question.
Senator Wood.
Senator Wood, College of Engineering, is this like a nationally recognized month, or is it Texas recognized? I know it's founded by a high school person, or high school teacher, apologize. So I just want to know where, like, did someone declare it a national month, or like why this month? I mean, other than him saying, hey, let's do October. But
so that was the original founder, but following that, it was recognized by multiple organizations, as we've mentioned in like Whereas 3, such as the Human Rights Campaign, GLAAD, the National Education Association. So it has been co-signed and recognized by many major organizations. And it is also recognized by our own Pride Month. So I do think that would be an injustice that our Pride Month celebrates it and we as a student senate, which represents our student organizations, don't celebrate it and recognize it.
Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. Some of the comments that Senator Wood made just made me a little bit more curious. So is there a government recognized, either at the federal level or at the state level, LGBTQ, either Pride or History Month? Is there one of those declared by a government body?
I don't want to misspeak. I want to say Pride is, but again, don't want to misspeak. If any of our other authors want to step in to address that, please do. But just from my knowledge, I know it's not as vast as other people's is. So we really just focus on the month itself and the organizations that do recognize it. We didn't go out of our way to see which other ones did. And if you have any suggestions of amendments we can add about that, we would easily be open to including those states and organizations that, those national or federal organizations that recognize it. I will say I'm not sure if the state of Texas does, because as we mentioned in those kind of historical pieces, state of Texas was probably one of the last to, ever really support some of these movements. And there are other countries that do actually recognize this month. I think a few of them are in Europe, but I just can't get the name of it off the top of my head.
I just want to add something. So just like Chair Ahmed said, I don't want to misspeak either. I don't know this information on top of my head, but I will look it up and make sure to send out that information to you, Chair Teague, before the next meeting.
With that, that is all the time we have for question and answer. So we will now move into a period of debate, beginning with debate against. Do I see any debate against at this time? I do want to recognize Senator Chunga Pizarro with a motion.
Senator Chunga Pizarro, Off-Campus Caucus. I move to add myself and any other senators to be a sponsor of this resolution.
Seeing multiple seconds, we will move by general consent to add Senator Chunga Pizarro, as well as any other senators who would like to be added as sponsors to this piece of legislation. Do I see any objections to general consent? Seeing none, that does pass, and that shall be so. With that, Senator Chunga Pizarro, you do still have the floor in debate against.
I move to the floor. Is that correct?
Yield your time to the floor.
I yield my time to the floor. Thank you.
The floor has been yielded to. And so now we move into a period of debate 4. Do I see any debate 4? Senator Hernandez.
Senator Hernandez, Liberal Arts Caucus. I just wanted to clarify that this holiday is not just celebrated in the United States, but it's also celebrated in Canada, Australia, Greenland, Hungary, the United Kingdom, Scotland. And so this is definitely a legitimate holiday. I'm not sure why there's any questions for this. And so I feel like this is a no-brainer and that y'all should vote yes on this.
Senator Hernandez, you do still have the floor to yield either to Chair Teague or the floor.
Yeah, I would like to yield to the floor to Chair Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Senator Hernandez, Chair Teague, Finance. I wasn't questioning whether this was a legitimate holiday or not. I just was genuinely curious, is this something that's been accepted by our government at any level? And so I do appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Chair Teague, you do have the floor.
I yield the remainder of my time to the floor. Thank you.
The floor has been yielded to, and we'll move back into a period of debate against. Do I see any debate against? Seeing none, I would like to recognize the point of inquiry from Senator Worth.
Senator Worth, College of Geoscience Caucus. I just wanted to ask again what the number is for this piece of legislation, so those of us who want to add ourselves as sponsors can.
Yes, so this is SR 7326. And so with that, again, that does conclude that period of debate 4, and we'll move into that period of debate against. Do I see any debate against? Seeing none, do I see any debate 4? Seeing none, we'll move back into a period of debate against in the final round of debate. Do I see any debate against? Seeing none, debate has become one-sided, and so debate will now close, and we'll now move into a period of voting on SR 7326, the LGBTQ plus History Month resolution, led by Speaker Pro Tem Forsberg.
Howdy, Senate. It is 10:10, so that ballot is now open and will close at 10:13. This is SR 7326. Alrighty, it is 10:13, and so that form just closed. And with a vote of 50 in favor, 5 against, and 6 in abstention, that passes.
SR 7326, the LGBTQ+ History Month resolution does pass. With that, we'll conclude our period of new business and move into a period of open session. Speaker Pro Tempore Spur, do we have any bills in the drive or pieces of legislation in the drive for open session?
Howdy, Speaker Pro Tempore Spur. No, we do not.
And that will conclude our period of open session. We'll move into a period of committee reports, beginning with Speaker Pro Tempore Spur.
Howdy, Senate. Thank you for all sticking with it tonight and making it to committee reports. I just have a few things, and I made a list, so I'm going to read off of it so that I don't ramble. The first thing is for all of the new senators. Howdy and welcome. Be looking from an email from me either today or tomorrow with the committee preference form if you were just certified today, and then the senator info form, which can be found at tx.ag/73info. So that y'all can fill those out so that we can get you into the committee, into a committee, and so we can get your information up on the website and into our contact sheet. The committees will be announced by Tuesday, so that by Wednesday, which is when committee meetings will, they happen a week from today, you will know what committee meeting to attend, and that respective chair will reach out to you to give you the information about their meeting. So be looking for an email on Tuesday from me. The next thing I wanted to highlight is for everybody, I will be hosting a legislation workshop on Tuesday the 20th at 6 p.m. To kind of talk through how we write legislation, what that looks like. This isn't just for new senators. If you've maybe been in the room for a while, but you've never really gotten to write legislation and it's something you've been interested in, but maybe a little bit afraid to do, this will be a time where we will kind of run down how writing legislation works, and then kind of go, if you bring a piece that you're working on, we've been more than happy to kind of work on it with you and show you how to format it and things like that. And that's going to be led by Chair Hein and Chair Jeffress and myself. Chair Jeffress has written quite a large amount of quite a large amount of legislation. Also, I forgot to mention Chair Feldman. Chair Feldman has also written a large amount of legislation, and then obviously Chair Hein is our rules queen, and so she can kind of help you if you have like a really obscure question, because I often have those, and she can tell you kind of what that looks like. And so that'll be Tuesday the 20th at 6 p.m. I will send that out in the Slack. Also very excited about the legislative operations position bill. I'm excited for the next meeting to see that hopefully pass. And then I wanted to take a moment to, well, first of all, I also am hoping to put together a virtual Senate like meet and greet for the new senators to kind of get to know people, because I think it's important that like ultimately like we can get into it on the floor, but just know like we all are friends outside of the room, and that's really important. So on that note, I am going to be from now forwards recognizing a Senator of the Week and a Chair of the Month. This is my personal like decision, so it wasn't something that was voted on, but I'd first like to recognize the Chair of the Month, and that's going to be Chair Ahmed, for her tireless work with her committee to continually write legislation where every member of her committee is able to contribute, and for her incredible ideas for profit shares, Senate promotional materials, and ways to motivate to bring the room together. I say that because she was the one that had idea for a virtual meet and greet, something like that. And at first I was like, no, I don't know if that's gonna work. I don't know if that can happen. But I thought more about it and I was like, no, like we need to do that. That'd be cool. So thank you, Chair Ahmed, for your great work. If you ever want to sit in a really great committee meeting, go visit the Diversity and Inclusion Committee meetings. And then for the Senator of the Week, so I'm not actually going to pick a singular senator, but I want to recognize all of our newly sworn in senators for tonight. This was a really intense meeting. We appreciate you sticking through it and for bearing with us and figuring it out. And I'd also like to recognize our fish aides. I only think one is still in the room, but they were kind of thrown into the throes of it today. They got to sit in their first ops meeting and get to learn about kind of what the operations committee does. So just want to take a moment to recognize y'all for doing a great job tonight and Chair Ahmed for her work. And with that, I will yield my time to questions.
Are there any questions for Speaker Pro Tempore Spur? Senator Marufo.
Senator Marufo, Liberal Arts Caucus. My question for Pro Tem Spur is, about when can we expect to see the results of how voting on legislation goes, like to be posted, so we know like who voted what on the resolution or legislation that was up on the floor tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Those Google Sheets will be uploaded to the votes folder in the drive within the next few days.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions for Speaker Pro Tempore Spur? Seeing none, thank you, Pro Tem Spur. I will now move on to Rules and Regulations Chair Hine.
Alrighty, howdy Senate, Chair Hine, Rules and Regulations. I also have a list, so I'll try to keep this short. I don't have to go over too many rules tonight. So first off, my committee meeting will be at 5:30 on Wednesday. We will finally be able to hit the ground running with the code. We've kind of had to push it back a little bit, but this time to my committee, I swear we are going to dig into the code this time. Great discussion tonight and wonderful use of Parley Pro. I think we can all say that we've come a long way as a Senate body from that first meeting in June. Thanks to Chair Old Ag for helping me out with presenting that parliamentary procedure presentation earlier tonight. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. I'm sorry I couldn't present it myself. I had a prior commitment that I could not get out of. So just let me know if you have any questions about that. And another thing, I'm going to start trying to be a little more strict on the rules just to preserve the efficiency and smoothness of our meetings. And I think that really held truth tonight with how everything went. We kind of have to learn the hard way in these meetings, but y'all are doing a fantastic job. So with that, thanks for sticking around, and I yield my time to questions.
Are there any questions for Chair Hine? Seeing none, Chair Teague. And thank you, Chair Hine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Teague, Finance. Howdy, Senate. Kind of on the downhill slide on the finance deal. Oriana and I continue, as well as my committee, continue to work together to make sure that these monies are spent in a responsible, efficient way, as you entrusted us all to do. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. Love to answer them. I yield the remainder of my time to questions.
Are there any questions for Seeing none, thank you, Chair Teague. I will now move on to our Chair of the Month, Chair Ahmed.
Howdy, Senate. First thing, thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, everyone. I was expecting that, so really appreciate it. Feeling very loved. So I guess going with my updates, first thing, I want to welcome all the new senators. If this was Coldest, we would be meeting you guys right now. Super sad we can't do that. But if you guys ever have questions, anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me. I was once a little freshman senator who was literally clueless and sat there like this the whole meeting, not knowing what to do. So please feel free to contact me. I would love to help you guys out. I want to thank you guys for helping pass the LGBTQ resolution. Was really excited about that. My committee meetings are every other Wednesday from 8 to 9, so we'll be having one next week. And yeah, like Hannah said, if you guys ever want to come, tag along. Everyone in my committee is really friendly, love them to bits. And yeah, next meeting, we're going to be looking at some possible liaisons with the commission and how we want to kind of work that dynamic now that Lily does have a full-blown commission, which is super exciting because now we have like possibilities for more collaborations and initiatives. And we are looking into possibly creating a diversity survey. That's going to be something I'm going to bring up next meeting with my committee. So if any of you guys have ideas for that or anything like that, please do pop in or feel free to text me. This is still like an idea in the motions. And then with that, I was reached out to by the VP of Student Services on the exec side. And they are kind of looking into possible collaborations with us because I know me and a bunch of other senators, we're kind of looking into Title IX in the summer. So if any of you guys have any ideas, not specifically about Title IX, but just better ways that we can help serve students and provide resources, especially about sexual assault and things of that matter, please do reach out to me because I am going to set up a meeting with them hopefully in the next week or two. And I'd love to bring in y'all's ideas to see how Senate and exec can collaborate. And lastly, with that, my office hours are every Wednesday from 3 to 4. Just keep a lookout in the Slack because sometimes I do move them around, or if no one shows up, I will close them. So please let me know if you plan on hopping in. And I love having people to come in and just talk with me. It's not always legislation, just how are you doing? So with that, that is all the questions I have. That is all the report I have. With that, I yield my time to questions.
Senator Wood.
Senator Wood, College of Engineering. That survey about that you're gonna send, who is that survey going to?
So again, that's kind of an idea that I initially thought about when I was campaigning, and I feel like it kind of got pushed to the back burner. And so that is something I'm actually gonna discuss with my committee. If this is something that we want to incorporate with the ag input, having a diversity component, if we want this to go just to student organizations, or if we want this to go to the whole school. This is something I'm going to discuss with my committee because I want to make sure they're kind of involved in the decision-making skills and in the decision-making process to kind of develop those skills. And I'd love to hear their input and any of y'all's input as well of which you guys think might be best. So hit me up.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions for Chair Ahmed? Seeing none, thank you, Chair of the Month. We'll now move on to Chair Jeffress.
Howdy, Senate. Chair Jeffress, Academic Affairs. So I'm going to start off by highlighting that I put all my committee reports in my committee folder in the drive, so a copy of that can always be found. So the big highlight that I want to do today is the VP of Academic Affairs, Ellie Conrad, is looking for volunteers to sit on a panel to discuss Canvas. So it's a great way for you to get involved with advocacy and whatnot in the university. So please feel free to contact me if you want to sit on that. Some other things that are going on. The university is looking to create a graduate school to kind of consolidate the other graduate school programs. So I'm kind of deferring to GPSG, the graduate student government, on advocacy related to that, since they kind of are the experts related to that field. Some other things, some people have contacted me about pass-fail. We are looking into it, but it's a kind of a complex topic. And hopefully with some survey results and analysis of withdrawal rates, Q drops, and GPAs from midterms, we can kind of look at where we are this semester compared to previous ones. The next highlight I want to do is I'm having the COVID advisory meeting Friday. So if you guys have any concerns related to COVID, President Young did sit on that, so feel free to reach out to me if you want anything changed or relayed to him relating to COVID. And with that, I would like to say that advocacy to the university is a privilege we have. And it saddens me that today at this meeting, we didn't get to have that voice and that say. Sometimes we don't get all the information we want. And we should still make decisions. And with that, my committee meeting is at 7 every Wednesday. You can find the link in the folder. And also my office hours are every Tuesday at 1. You also can find the link and password either in the Slack or in the document in the Drive. I yield my time to questions.
Senator Wood.
Senator Wood, College of Engineering. Do you have like an update on honor lock or what kind of provost had said? I know is left in limbo last meeting. If you could address the Senate as a whole. Thanks.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you for the question. So changes related to honor lock is probably not likely in the near future. I think the next time this is revisited is probably going to be with the renewing of that contract. It is, so Provost has made a determination that it is up to professors to use it or not. I've heard from a lot of students that talking to your professor, particularly as a whole class, can persuade them to use alternative methods. So as of now, that's probably my best suggestion to you guys if you guys don't want to use that platform, to talk to other students in those classes that are using it and talk to your professor.
Are there any other questions for Chair Jeffress? Seeing none, Chair Jeffress, thank you. We'll now move on to Chair Feldman.
Chair Feldman, Legislative Relations. Howdy, Senate. First of all, I want to congratulate all the new senators. Y'all are in for a fun time. Really excited to have y'all. I know it was a stressful meeting. When it comes to LR, we have divided up into different research groups. So the committee now is working on those to put up bills in the next couple meetings. We will also be working really closely with the new LR Commission now that they're fully formed. So those research groups are going to come in handy. So be prepared for bill presentations probably by next meeting, and then some more by the end of the November meeting, I guess. But a lot of cool stuff there. I think our next meeting may be closed as we're working closely with the commission. I still need to see. We meet bi-weekly on Wednesdays, as most of the committees. And I just have one last thing to say just about the way this meeting kind of went. I know I can probably speak for a lot of people here that let's end the division, guys. I look around me, I don't see enemies. I see my peers, I see my friends. But the way we've been conducting ourselves, it needs to end. We were elected to make a difference and we were elected to make a change, but we can't do that if we keep on like this. We need to be the bigger people. We need to be professional. This isn't about sides. It's about doing right by the student body. And attacking people online outside of this body doesn't fix anything. It just makes things worse. As we saw today, a senator was censured for acting out of turn and for going beyond what he should have. So if you have an idea you're passionate about, I implore you to find the right way to go about it. Work with chairs, commissions, and other leaders to make it happen. And so after this meeting, let's all come together so this doesn't happen again. We can't make a difference separately. It has to be together. Let's make a difference. I'm open to questions.
Are there any questions for Chair Feldman? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Feldman. We'll now move on to Chair Rodriguez.
Howdy, y'all. Chair Rodriguez, Constituency Affairs, College of Engineering. First off, I want to give a huge warm welcome to all the new senators. We're so excited to have you here. Let me know if you have any questions or if you need any advice or if you just need someone to lean on, I'm always here for you. Ask me for my phone number. I'll text you, if you need a buddy or something. But getting straight into business, my office hours will be next Wednesday. But if you have any questions or anything before then, definitely let me know. Message me on the Slack. I'm more than willing to, meet at any time as long as I don't have class or something. But my office hours will be next Wednesday at 5 p.m. So definitely hop in there if you have anything you want to discuss. My committee meeting will also be next Wednesday at 7 p.m. So definitely hop into that if you want to discuss anything. We will be focusing mainly on doing the Caucus Leader Reformation Act, because I know it's something huge that we want to make sure gets passed through the Senate this year, so we can hopefully get it really acclimated for next year, so the senators that are caucus leaders know exactly the protocol to follow, so they're able to have a guideline of what they should be doing throughout the year. And also, if you ever have any questions, let's chat, get coffee. I love to hang and make fun memories. But if you ever need to talk, we're not all just senators, we're also friends here. We do hang out outside of Senate. We're not, like the way we look right now. We all are like, we love each other. So don't worry, new senators, like, this is not the way it always is. We're just here advocating for each other and what's best for the student body. And I know that we are the voice of all, and we should remember to care for all as well. So going off a little bit with what Chair Feldman said, no matter what we do, let's remember to always have passion, but also love one another in the changes that we advocate for. We are the Student Senate, and we should do everything with passion and care. So if you do need anything, or 3 a.m. you need some help, I'm here for you. I know all the senators are here for you as well. Let's make change together, be there for one another, but also make great things happen together. So with that, I yield my time to questions.
I didn't hear what was said.
Yeah, I was muted. I apologize. Are there any questions for Chair Rodriguez? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Rodriguez. Chair Oldag, go ahead.
Howdy, everyone. So thank you to everyone for confirming John C. Otto for the Core Values Award this month. I know that the subcommittee has been working really hard, and that the subcommittee and his family will be very pleased. So just thank you to everyone for making that happen. And thanks to the subcommittee for all of their hard work and just everything they're doing. They're doing a really great job. Not a whole lot of stuff's going on with the city right now. That's on my radar. The mayor deemed October Domestic Violence Awareness Month for College Station, so I think that's something that's really important and really cool that the mayor did. And finally, all of this talk, kind of what Chair Feldman said about, just like change and things we're passionate about, really reminded me to see what I did today. I voted. Early voting is open, everyone. There are locations on campus, and there's 5 in College Station. It opened yesterday, and lines apparently have been pretty short in the MSC if you want to go and vote. If you have any questions, Gig the Vote and my counterpart Helena, as well as everyone on her team, has been working really hard. They made a voter's guide if you're still kind of on the fence on who to vote for. So yeah, I would say early voting, just get it out of the way. You're waiting in line, you're hot on November 3rd, even though it's Texas, because for some reason, November 3rd, it's still hot in Texas. I don't know, just get it all out of the way and go vote now and just perform your civic duty. It's the best way to make change and all the things that we're talking about implementing. So I think that's all I have. I am ready for any questions that anyone has. Sorry, I'm rambling, talking really fast. I know it's late, everyone.
Senator Chinga Pizarro, Off-Campus Caucus. Chair Oldag, I was just wondering if we're gonna have another community relations committee meeting, because I don't think we've had one over a month. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, if you have anything that you want to talk about or anything, you can message me about it. I can schedule a meeting. I've been trying to find a good time to get everyone to meet. And last time we've communicated, it seemed that there wasn't a good time for us to meet weekly or on a regular basis, so we can keep working on finding a time that works for everyone. I don't want to have meetings where senators aren't able to attend, and then I'm getting people counting, and then their absences are adding up for unexcused absences. So I can schedule a meeting then, and we can work on that in the Slack chat.
Awesome. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Chair Oldag? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Oldag. We'll now move on to Executive Director Marbut.
Howdy, Senate. Executive Director Marbut. I'll keep it extremely short since we are over time. The recording of tonight's meeting will be uploaded to the Senate website and the YouTube tomorrow very promptly, as well as we will be working on getting those voting records put up on the drive for everybody. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
Are there any questions for Director Marbut? Seeing none, thank you, Director Marbut. With that, that'll conclude our period of committee reports, and we'll move into a period of executive reports, beginning with SVP Mendoza.
All right. Howdy, Senate. Speaker McHugh, can you hear me?
Yes, you are good. The phone is working.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm on my cell phone here. I use this, SVP Mendoza, good to be with y'all. I use this laptop all day on Zoom calls, and then after 7 p.m., I guess it doesn't like me. But anyways, good to be with y'all. Like it was kind of mentioned, obviously an active meeting this evening for all of our new senators. I want to, of course, welcome all of y'all that just got sworn in. I remember my first Senate meeting very vividly. I also had a very active meeting. I want to say got out around 1 a.m. So y'all made it out like bandits tonight comparatively. But I also joined Student Senate freshman year, fall semester. Obviously thought a lot of the body itself and stayed with it for 3 years. So you're in a great group. Like it was mentioned, I'll echo what the chairs have already shared. Make sure you use everyone as resources and really invest your time in the organization itself, virtual or not. Like Pro Tem Spur mentioned, y'all have y'all's fish shades. We have our fish shades too now. So want to welcome them and then the others, specifically for Executive Cabinet. I also wanted to note, and I'll call out Chair Syed, who's also part of class councils and others. I met with the class gift chair today for class of 2022. And so should you have recommendations for that, I recommend that you reach out to Chair Syed or myself or the class gift chair, anyone else from class councils, help them brainstorm ideas that you guys might want to see on campus for improvements. So plug for a different organization there, but always want to help them out because they do serve students as well. Okay, it was mentioned too, and obviously early voting has begun. Yes, please go to gigthevote.com to view the nonpartisan voter guide that was made by our MA team. It's extensive for anyone voting in the Brazos County. It's got all the ordinances and everything else you probably don't care to read up on, but should definitely do before you go into the ballot box itself. I will note too, I have heard that voting on campus, the lines themselves actually are shorter than they are in the community right now, which is kind of rare. So take advantage of that. But also you can go to TAMU_UC, which is University Center and Special Events Twitter account. And they do regular updates, to my understanding, of the voter line in the MSC. It's a rough estimate. It's not a specific science. It's somebody with a clicker, but it's good information nonetheless. So I recommend you do that before you head out there. So I also want to note that we've heard more and more, and I've heard from a number of y'all kind of asking clarifying questions if student orgs can meet on campus, if they cannot, et cetera. We talked about it a lot in our dialogue specifically with Dr. Pugh and the chairs and our exec team recently. And I think it's important for us all to disseminate that, yes, student orgs can meet on campus, specifically very easily if they're under 25 people. We're seeing that's a huge problem on campuses, the disconnect that they're feeling, especially for underclassmen. So if you want to reach out to University Center and Special Events, tell them exactly what you're looking to host. They will help support you and figure out how that can be done in whatever format you want. We also need to help, all of your help, to create the narrative that, you know, campus is open safely. We have events happening all over the place here. And I think tomorrow they're publishing the video itself that we scripted for TAMU Marcom around that theme to make sure that we're making sure students understand it. So Chair Jeffress also touched on it in terms of one of the big things, of course, we're hearing from majority of students, overall is around grading. Yes, pass-fail is certainly an option. That was a interesting sell in the spring semester, and the extension piece itself was an interesting sell for us with the Faculty Senate in spring semester as well. But we've already brought it up with them. They are open to the discussion. It is always something, especially with other options too. I know that they've explored different things. I'm also a proponent of another idea to throw out, which I know has been talked about, of the potential of potentially having Q drops accessible after final grades are in. I think that that's another good option. So just know that we are exploring all options. We want some accommodation for our students. I don't know what that would look like, but if you have other ideas, outside of the box ideas, pass them our way. Pass them to Chair Jeffress, to my academic affairs VP, Ellie Conrad, myself, our team. We'd love to kind of know nothing is off the table, so to speak. It's a very open conversation, but that's definitely important, and we'll be building up throughout the rest of the semester. And really, I'm curious to see midterm grades. I hope they're not much worse than usual, but I just know that students don't always learn in the best format virtually, no matter how hard either party tries. I will also say that you can be on the lookout from, I think it's already out there actually on 12th Can's social media. There's a competition for 12th Can and Career Closet against Bullies Closet, which is the equivalent at Mississippi State, ahead of our football game, to kind of raise awareness for both organizations and raise some funds as well. Also had a really good turnout from the Maroon Coats Drive that 12th Can, a big event, supported for hurricane relief materials. I think the first set of that went out last night, if I'm not mistaken. So appreciate the support on those pieces. And then I'll add finally that we're looking at turning our focus now on long-term planning and how we can facilitate that for student organizations within SGA and elsewhere too. So working with student activities to host those pieces, especially relating around traditions, and how we can really use this time to not be as reactive, but also proactive. There's a lot of potential right now to think strategically long-term about how we can try and come out of next semester as well, better organizationally. And then the last thing is, as I always kind of touch on, please reach out if you'd like to meet. Always happy to do a phone call, coffee, Zoom chat, whatever. So would love to hear from y'all. And I hope your midterms are done. I know that midterms this year seems to last a month. So if they're not for you, good luck. But also have a great rest of your week, and I'm open to questions.
Chair Jeffress.
Chair Jeffress, Academic Affairs. Howdy, Eric. So since we didn't pass that resolution today, what is your position going to be on the Matthew Gaines bus route?
Thanks, Chair Jeffress. I actually didn't mention that, so I appreciate you asking. I was going to chat about it. So I don't know, truly. I don't know how I'm going to answer it, because I know what my personal opinion is, and I can state that, but I also feel uncomfortable not stating that the Student Senate didn't have a yes or no entirely. So what I imagine I will do is incorporate all of the components that we've talked about in the letter itself. I feel strongly that y'all are a vital part of the representation of SGA. So, it could be, and we'll think about this. I believe my response is due, I think it's Monday, maybe Friday. They put two different dates on different emails, but, it could be where we do an unofficial poll to get things from y'all. Could be where we ask students or student leaders or student leader groups across campus for their input too, because at the end of the day, SGA represents all students. And so truly, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions on that. I do want to give them as complete of a thought as possible. I know GPSG and other groups as well have kind of done their part. So don't know, open to suggestions, but I can guarantee you that in some component I'll recognize the students and at least discussed it.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Smith.
Yes, SVP Mendoza, you mentioned a lot of great news actually there for students. You mentioned possibly moving the Q-drop deadline to after final exams. Do you have any indication of when we might know whether or not that's going to happen?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Senator Smith. Probably, I guess shouldn't have mentioned that. That's just my thoughts, right? I've shared that with groups within the Faculty Senate, had good discussion on it, so it's on the table. I don't want to act as if anything at all is the end-all be-all solution. It's on the table. It's something that I personally think solves the issue, and also would be an easier sell maybe than a pass-fail solution. But I think if last semester, for example, was an indication, we had the initial pass-fail piece pretty early actually in the semester, but we ended up having the extension piece very, very late. So I would say this is something we're working on weekly now and meeting with them on. And so I think given that we have new data from midterms, et cetera, over the next month or so, the goal obviously is, I think the Q-drop deadline specifically is November 1st. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's a date that a lot of students make suggestions. So it's going to be something that we approach before then to say, if possible, can we get it done before so that students don't prematurely make decisions that they then wish they hadn't. So that's a goal, but at this point, it's a bit too early to say.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions for the SPP? Seeing none, thank you, SVP Mendoza. I will now move on to Chief Justice McIntosh.
Well, howdy, guys. So first, I'd like to start by saying congratulations to all of the new senators who were just sworn in. We will have a few more for you guys at the next Senate meeting. So most of you probably know. J-Court is in the middle of a few appeals right now, which some of the seats couldn't be confirmed tonight because they are dependent on the outcome of our upcoming cases. We heard our first one for this session last night, so that opinion will be out on Friday night, according to the code. That one was a closed hearing due to HIPAA reasons, so that is why we did not send out any information to you guys on it. It was disclosed information. But our two next week will be open. We have not had an open hearing since 2017, so we are doing it in a kind of hybrid online Zoom and in-person version. So for those who are interested, next Wednesday, 10/21 at 8 p.m. in MSC 2406A, we can accommodate up to 20 people. So if you are interested in coming in person, go ahead and shoot me an email at chiefjustice.tamu@gmail.com. That way I can get a just general overview of how many people to expect. And also next Thursday, 10/22, 7 p.m. in Coldest 144, we can accommodate. I think that was up to 40 for that one. So those will both be open. If you went to him in person, go ahead and let me know. That way we know what to expect. Other than that, though, we will be live streaming to Facebook. You can follow that on Facebook. There's 2 Facebook accounts. One of them is brand new. We created it just to be able to stream these. We don't have the login information for the older one. So if you see one that looks like it has lots of activity, that's the old one. Keep digging. It's brand new, but we will be live streaming to that as well. We'll post our information on our Instagram account as well. So if you're trying to find that, I will have our social media director put some stuff up on social media for that. But after we hear all of those cases, we will have all of our opinions issued by the following week. So everyone else will be confirmed next Wednesday. I think that's all I have for you guys. I'm open to questions.
Are there any questions for the Chief Justice? Seeing none, thank you, Chief Justice McIntosh. And with that, I will step down from the chair and hand it over to Pro Tempore Spur to give my exec report So I'm not going to go into updates tonight or anything like that. We are at this point 22 minutes over our meeting time, and so I'll put those in the Slack. I will just echo some of the things that have been said by the chairs. Again, this Senate was a very interesting Senate meeting. I know a lot of things have happened, things that none of us have seen. I know the last time censure was brought up, at least as far back as we can trace, was back in the 69th session. And so these things are very rare. And so I want to thank you all for taking the time to think through that, to go through that process and to understand that process as we went through it. One of the things I want to continue to stress is communication above all. And then beyond communication, I want to also stress respect. If we can continue to practice good communication as well as conduct ourselves with the utmost respect for those around us, then we'll be able to function as efficiently as possible as a Senate body. So to the new senators, please come in and embody that respect and embody that communication as we move forward. Communicate with your chairs, communicate with fellow senators who you haven't met, communicate with myself and with Pro Tempore Spur as you have questions, and Chair Hein. To senators who have already been here for a while, communicate to the new senators. Continue to communicate to your chairs, continue to communicate to me, continue to communicate to Chair Hein as questions come up, and just continue that process overall. If you're not sure whether something is right or wrong as far as the process, don't feel bad asking a question. I know I'm probably scary because I have a little bit of stubble on my face and my hair is a little bit messy, but I am here to answer questions and to talk to you at any time. And so I do appreciate you guys being willing to commit to that communication and being willing to commit to conducting ourselves with respect. With all of that being said, I'm going to bid you all adieu and say have a great night as we go into this closing roll call. Pro Tempore Spur, go ahead.
Well, howdy, Senate. We have made it to closing roll call. So we will go ahead and leave that form open for the next 10 minutes. I believe Brogan will send the link in the chat. There she is. And so y'all can go ahead and fill that out. Once you've filled it out, feel free to leave the meeting. Good luck on midterms.